Hey everybody, welcome back into the UIS Coaches Show. Larry Larson here with Summer Quesenberry, UIS women's head coach and coach. Two back-to-back close losses. What would you say the biggest takeaways from those losses to Quincy and now today to Truman State are? Because, there were a lot of positives.
A lot of positives today in terms of competing in both games, really. Competing today, I was happy with much stronger defensive rotations, and our box outs looked better, our transition looked better, confidence within transition offensively much better. You're looking at players that put up 23, 26, 22 points today. So lots to take away in terms of those things, especially with the caliber of teams as they continue to change and evolve, with us competing with six. And so I'm happy with the effort today, but it's the same thing as it's been. There's no margin of error. And so the more our team continues to buy into being consistent in anything that we can control, we have to do it 100%. There's no margin of error.
Yeah, and that's always tough, playing with just six players. It's not a situation that you find yourself in often. How do you guys handle that? Not just in games, but also in practice, knowing that everybody's got to play pretty much all 40 minutes.
Yeah, early on, we had a discussion in terms of when we recognized we were down to six. We've been competing with six, the last 3 weeks?
Yeah.
And so with nothing on the horizon in terms of, return, in terms of our roster. And so with those six, having the discussion of, right now you can choose that you're going to lose. Right now you can choose, we can play everybody's, sad story in terms of they only have six and choose not to compete, or we can say, what do we have control over that's going to allow us to be competitive? And I think our players, the Lewis game, it was 2 games after that, right? And so Parkside, we had competed so hard, and I think we've got young kids too. These aren't 6 seniors. We've got young, they're freshmen and 2 sophomores. And so our players recognized, after that Lewis game, we had a tough conversation because I was like, that's a team that's done. That's a team with no effort. That's a team not buying into principles, not playing how you're coached, not what we discuss, not what we show in film, not what we work for, nothing. Nothing was reflected that's what's going to be UIS basketball. And since that confrontation, right? Both of them. Essentially, the players have really looked into, no, we're not going to do that. And so that has really helped in terms of our progression. And I'm pleased today with effort, clearly not satisfied in that we still lost. But very proud of their effort and really, truly, those defensive rotations look so much better today. Now we can have fine-tuning. Now we can have real conversations about where our defense can improve. So I'm very proud of them. They're strong 6.
Yeah. And you mentioned that youth. 3 freshmen, all in the starting lineup. How much progress have they made, Ava Bardick, Brandon Zajac, and Ivy Schmidt?
Bree put up 23 today and guarded a post player that, nobody would anticipate that's who she would guard, right? And held her a little bit below her little average. And then Ava put up 22 today. She's still learning the defensive rotation sometimes, but we're having conversations in terms of that's what it was, and she's getting better in that, and more confident in terms of recognizing that was the mistake, boom, fight back. And so I'm pleased to see that kind of growth in her, in terms of receiving coaching and applying it and responding back. And so that's progression. And again, Araya 26 again today as a sophomore, but that's significant. And even Ivy today. Ivy had a tough assignment inside. Number 2 typically plays about 24 minutes a game. I think today she played 11. And that was Ivy's assignment. That's a big that started every single game. And so I think that's significant. Even 32 plays 32 minutes a game. Today she played 23. They had to take her off the floor. That's significant when you talk about our team. And 13, we expected her to have a good game. That's a great basketball player. She's impressive to watch, but her percentages was much lower than it typically is at 9 of 17 and 5 of 10 from the 3. Our girls are working.
Yeah.
And 1 board. Typically she has about 5 rebounds a game. That's progression in terms of our team. And so we take those things in order to improve upon. That's the feedback. Those are the things that you go, these are good things. Now what can we do? Yeah. So I'm pleased with overall the team and the way that they're progressing today.
You mentioned Oriah Douglas. I mean, it's hard to ignore what she's done. I would say probably one of the best players in the conference here early in the season in terms of scoring.
The compliment, yes.
But, what's so special about her? I know you coached her last year. But, I mean, how much has she progressed, being that, doing what she did last year as a freshman, into this year being pretty much the go-to player?
After this men's game right here, this kid will be back in the gym, and she'll be putting up shots. She can't wait till they get off the floor so that she can bring out a shooting machine, right? Last night she texted me and said, Coach, when's our shoot around? Are we first or second? Because obviously in the league we allow people in, right? And I said, we're second. She said, okay, cool. So you gonna open the gym for me at 7? I said, yes, right? That's the difference in Oriah Douglas. I believe her to be special, just like her high school coaches, just like her AAU coaches, just like her family. She's a special kid. And I'm very happy that she chose to play for me and continues to compete at a high level. The biggest difference is we've seen dramatic growth in terms of there used to be I'll say it, right? She pouted, and I didn't like it. She didn't like it, but it took her a long time to get out of it, right?
Yeah.
But you see that in freshmen, the head down, right? So we're working on that too, that we don't show that. We don't show weakness, and there's no reason for it. Like, that's when another mistake occurs. We recognize that mistakes happen in basketball and how we respond. Hers used to be, like, she used to be upset if she missed a shot or whatever. She'd, like, lose it out on defense, right? So it was like, well, if you're that upset about missing shots, you'll get in the gym and you'll work on shots, right? So there's no argument here, right? And so we have seen tremendous growth in terms of her confidence, but her fight back and her expectations. And today, I mean, she hit big shots today. They all did. I mean, there was a lot of growth. And so now she's showing that example. We are still working on her defense. She's gotten smarter and is in better positions than she used to be. She's less lazy. I used to say she was lazy on defense. She's doing much better from that standpoint. Our next progression with her and the build that she has is helping her develop more into a 3 guard in terms of the physicality of the game, because that's not where she was a point guard in most cases. And so she now is off ball, but I want her to start banging a little bit more. She has a beautiful body to be able to, for basketball, right? To be able to kind of bang and be a little bit more physical. And so we're seeing some of those things. I mean, some of her rim attacks today with the layups, she's getting much smarter about how she extends, when she comes down to 2 feet. Her new favorite move, right? She gets that offensive board and then she does a reverse. Those are new things, and I'm happy that her game is expanding in that way. But she is a great teammate and a wonderful player to coach. And again, I'm happy. I'm an Ohio person, right? So that's where my roots are. And I love my Ohio kids that followed me to West Virginia and also followed me to Illinois.
Yeah, she's done some incredible stuff. I mean, just the finishing at the rim, some of those off-balance shots, it makes you say wow over and over. Now, looking ahead, 6 straight home games in the books, 6 straight road games now. We won't see you until next year.
Right,
you can pull that joke out of the book.
There you go.
How do you manage?
I think over break, so this is what makes it at least special, or at least the way that I want to approach it as a coach, is exam week is next week. And so we have these breaks, right? And so in some ways we don't have the stress of, like, we're on the road and we're missing class and, what we do with those things, or our friends and significant others are at school and, those kind of things. So we have a really unique opportunity to kind of really bond our team and put some things in place to allow the team to kind of continue coming together and form relationships that are, long lasting and exist, I guess, from the limitations of the confines of the court, right? So I'm excited, at least in my progression of that, and our players continue to buy in with any of my crazy ideas, I guess, from that standpoint in terms of how we progress. So we have things planned for those things, yeah. And I think it'll be good for us. And that way, road games make you tougher and stronger.
Yeah.
I don't know, today we shot well, right, in the first quarter, but the last 2 home games, we shot horrendous in the first quarter. Especially Lewis, we couldn't buy a shot in our home court, so I don't know if there was really home court advantage on those 3 days anyway. So it might be good just to get on the road for a change of scenery and some for team bonding and maybe away from distractions. Who knows?
Yeah. Change of scenery definitely could be good. Well, Coach, I appreciate your time and best of luck in those next 6, and we will see you next year.
Yeah, absolutely. See you next year.
Thank
you.